everybody! Welcome to another episode of Sew Not Scary, where we are destroying our fear of sewing forever. And today I'm super excited because today we'll be making these adorable reusable DIY hand warmers. So since the weather is getting cold and winter is almost here, these are perfect to warm up and tuck inside your jacket pockets or in your hands when your kids are going out the door for school. And they're super quick and super easy to make using only the things you have lying around your kitchen cupboard. And obviously we will be using our handy dandy mini sewing machine. So without further ado, let's get started. Yay! So in front of me is the most adorable vintage cotton fabric. My mom, she's amazing. She collects vintage fabrics whenever she can from flea markets and places like these. And she brought a piece of this fabric for me many years ago. And it's got these adorable teddy bears on it. And some of these teddy bears are small, about this small, and some of these are actually big, about that big, about 2.5 inches in size. There's another one. Look how cute that is. So to make our DIY reusable hand warmers, what I'm going to do is carefully cut out some of these larger teddies with room to spare around them. So the teddy fabric is all cut out now, and you can see it's two pieces of very unevenly cut fabric, but that's okay. We want that because now we are going to cut them precisely to the size and the shape that we want. And in order to do that, we're not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to use anything lying around my home that I can use as a template. And for this, it's actually perfect to use something like this. Now, this is just ordinary dollar store or pound store painter's tape or masking tape. And look what happens when I put it on each piece of fabric. Look. Do you see? It's framing the teddy perfectly with some room to spare around. And the same goes here. I'm sorry if it's getting a little bit dark as the tape descends, but you can see that there's room to spare. That's exactly what we want to do. So to use this tape, what I'm going to do is flip the fabrics over because I don't want to put any marks on the front of the fabric. So I flip them over. Now I'm going to frame the teddies again using the masking tape ring, like so. Can you guys see? Let me adjust the light so you can see. Can you guys see now? And now what I'm going to do is take a pencil and draw a ring around these teddies following the curvature of the masking tape ring. See you in a bit. Okay, so now let me show you how I'm going to trace out the circle around the teddy. So there's a teddy. It's actually flipped over. The fabric is flipped over onto its back. I take the masking tape ring, and I'm placing it carefully over the top of the teddy so there's room to spare all around. Now I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to carefully trace this ring, holding tightly onto the tape. So here we go. Here's my pencil. I hope you can see I'm able to do this very quickly and easily. There, it's done. I'm going to repeat the process with the other teddy. There's a masking tape ring. I settle it carefully around the fabric, leaving room to spare. And I draw the circle using an ordinary pencil. And it's done. Our rings are completed, and now let me show you what we're going to do with it. We are going to cut the circles out using a pair of simple fabric scissors. I lift up the fabric, and as easy as cutting paper, I'm just going to cut along the circle that we had just drawn using a pencil. Isn't that cute? I'm going to repeat the same with the other teddy and then show you what they both look like. See you in a bit. Okay, so both the adorable teddies have been cut out of the cotton fabric. They make for perfect equally sized circles, which are the ideal size for little hands or even grown-up small-sized hands like mine. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the next step. So for the next step, I'm going to show you the backing fabric. Here in front of me, I've got a piece of really dark blue and really thick, almost upholstery quality, pure cotton fabric. Having said that, you can use any pure cotton fabric. For all you know, you can use the same fabric that you use to make the front, okay? So if I wanted to, I could use the same teddy fabric for the back of the hand warmers as well. But just for this project, I don't feel like doing that. So I'm going to use this thick fabric. And with this fabric, now what you need to do simply is roughly cut out a piece which is larger than each of your circles. So if I am to place my circle on top of this fabric, you can see that there's plenty of room to spare all around, and that's exactly what I need. So I'm going to take my pair of scissors and roughly cut out around this, so you know that's the kind of piece I'm looking for. I hope you can see it's just a roughly cut fabric, slightly larger than the circles we cut out earlier. So let me cut out a piece for my second teddy and get back to you. Okay, we're back, and I've cut out pieces of thicker pure cotton fabric, which is slightly larger than the original circles we cut out in the beginning. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now we can move on to the next step, which has very little to do with sewing. So it's time now to make the filling for our DIY reusable hand warmers. And for that, we only need 2 ingredients. You can actually just do with 1 ingredient, but I like to use this as well. So let me walk you through what I've got here. In this bowl in front of me, I've got some simple uncooked dry rice. I'm using cheap brown rice simply because I had a packet of them lying in my kitchen pantry. You could literally use any kind of rice or grains that you prefer. In my experience, when you warm up dry rice, it leaves a more pleasant smell in your hand warmers compared to other grains. So that's what I've got here. And along with that, in this, as you can see, I've got essential oil of lavender. Now, I love the fragrance of lavender. I think it's so soothing. Kids love it. So we're only going to... So here's the rice. It's probably about a 1/4 cup or 1/3 of a cup. So that's the lavender oil, and I'm just going to drop some of this on top of this rice. Not much, maybe about 5 drops. Here we go. That's 5 drops. Let's add 1 more. Done. That's 6 drops of lavender oil. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a spoon and just mix the whole thing up. We can now move on to the next step, which is sewing our hand warmers. So for that, I'm going to bring out my mini sewing machine and we will get on from there. See you in a bit. And we are ready to sew our reusable DIY hand warmers. Okay, so as you can see, the fabrics we are using for this project are blue in color. So I've actually threaded my mini sewing machine with a light blue top thread, and in here as well I've actually put the same blue thread on my bobbin. Now if you've watched my earlier episode of Sew Not Scary, you would know how to easily thread and place your bobbin using the Nifty 9 method, and how to thread your sewing machine using the P for Perfect method. So if you don't know that, I'm posting links to those below, so it's going to be super easy for you to prepare your mini sewing machine ready for sewing. So how are we going to sew? Well, it's very simple. We've got a simple plan and we're going to stick to it. Basically, we're just going to start sewing the circular teddy fabric onto the back fabric, and when we come around and once we are approaching the beginning, we are going to stop about an inch before we finish. Okay, and that's because we want to use that opening to put the rice in. Now if you don't know this already, at the beginning and at the end of any sewing, you have to reverse stitch your first few stitches. So you will start, go forward 2 or 3 stitches, then stop, go back over those stitches again by turning your project around, and then continue onwards, thus going over those initial few stitches 3 times in total. So let's go ahead and get started. So the plan is to line the inside edge of the presser foot, which is this inside edge. Can you guys see the inner right hand edge with the edge of the circumference of the circle? Okay, so that's how I'm going to lay this down. Right, so here we are with a close-up shot of what's going to happen underneath the presser foot. I'm going to take the project, and if you look closely, I'm going to match up the inner edge of the presser foot with the circumference of the circle. Can you see it matching up? Now I'm going to lower the presser foot, put the needle down into the fabric manually by rotating the hand wheel. One more time. Okay, that's 3 stitches down. I'm going to lift the presser foot again using the lever, turn the whole thing around, and back stitch again. Again, I'm doing this manually to make it super simple. That's 3 more stitches. Now I'm going to turn the project around again. This time, however, I can start sewing with my presser foot because everything is in place. Here we go. So as you can see now, we've approached the beginning of our project. I'm about an inch from closing in on the gap. Okay, so before I do that, I'm just going to stop and I'm going to backstitch my project. So I'm going to lift the presser foot again, turn it around 180 degrees, put it back down again, and I'll use my hand to manually rotate the hand wheel. 1 stitch, second stitch, third stitch. Now I'll lift the presser foot again, rotate the whole thing around, put it down again. 1, 2, and 3. Now the needle is up. I'm going to take the project out from underneath the presser foot. Let me show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, so I now want to take the project out from underneath the presser foot. In order to do that, the first thing I've done is lifted the needle out from the fabric. Can you see that the needle is up and away from the fabric? It's no longer in the fabric. I hope you can see it. Now what I'm going to do is pull on the thread right after the tension disc. So that's a tension disc. I'm going to pull down on this this thread, making a loop. That's my loop of extra thread. I hope you can see it. And now I lift the presser foot using the lever on the back, and I can easily pull the fabric away. There you go. It's out now. I can snip the thread and take it in my hand now. Okay, so that little project we just stitched up on our mini sewing machine is out from underneath the presser foot, and this is what it looks like. What we're going to do is put some of that rice we had just prepared with lavender oil. We're going to pour some of that rice inside that gap using a small spoon. Here we go. So I've got the rice here, and I'm going to pour some of this inside our project. Okay, so I'm going to open that little gap and just put some rice in there, not a whole lot. I hope you can see this. So this part, all of it is full of rice. I don't want to fill it all the way to the top edge because then I won't be able to sew it properly. So that's pretty much about all the rice I need. Now we're going to sew this opening closed using our sewing machine. Here we go. Okay, so we are back at our sewing machine, and we're going to start sewing this opening closed. Okay, this time we're going to continue sewing from where we had stopped. Okay, so we're going to back stitch again where we stopped. Now we have to be super careful not to spill any rice. I'm going to lower the needle into the existing stitches. Okay, switch on. So I'm going to switch on the light, and again starting with just a few stitches, 2 or 3, reverse stitching those, carefully turn it around. Hopefully I'm not going to spill any rice. And now turning it around again. And now I'll continue to close that gap. At the end as well, I'm going to reverse stitch those last few stitches. That's it. So I lift the presser foot, pick the needle up and out from my fabric, Now again, as before, I'm going to make that loop right after the tension wheel or tension disc. Okay, and once that's done, I can just pull my project out from the machine. The first thing that we're going to do with our stitched hand warmer is knot and snip away any extra lengths of threads. Okay, so any stitching threads that are hanging out, we're just going to do a quick double knot and snip away the extra ends. So let's just do that and see what it looks like afterwards. Here we go. So I've knotted and snipped away any extra lengths of sewing threads which were hanging or sticking out from around the teddy. So on the flip side as well, you can see, let me show you up close, and if you can see this, you'll see that there aren't any long threads hanging out. Everything has been knotted and the extra thread lengths have been snipped away. After this, now all that remains is to cut away at the extra fabric from around the teddy. Now there are two ways you can do that. The first way is very simple. You will just take a pair of scissors and snip as close as possible to this edge, getting you a perfect round circle. The other way to snip away the extra fabric is to use a pair of pinking shears. Okay, they've got a zigzag edge, I hope you can see that, and they leave kind of a pretty pattern on any fabric when you use them. My pinking shears are rather blunt. Even so, I'm going to attempt to use these, and worst comes to worst, if they don't cut okay, I'm just going to adjust everything using a pair of straight scissors. So here we go. And there we go. Look, we've cut out the surround, and actually that doesn't look too bad. Look, it's not bad, is it? And that's that, it's done. Look how pretty it is. That's one DIY reusable hand warmer done. Okay, all you have to do is pop it into the microwave and warm it up for a few seconds, 3 to 5 seconds maybe. Should do it, and this gets lovely and toasty warm, and you or your kids, anyone who's stepping out of the house, can just hold it in their hands and keep their hands warm on cold days. So this is the kind of project which is perfect for weather like this, especially to use on your mini sewing machine. I hope this has been helpful and that this project has inspired you to try making a cute little project on your mini sewing machine. If you found this video helpful or inspiring in any way, please click like and also subscribe to my channel. I'm very new to YouTube and would love to see your support and also hear from you what kind of projects you are interested in, or what it is about sewing that makes you really scared and nervous about trying it out. Thank you for watching this video. Please do check out my blog as well. It's called ooniCrafts.com, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!